Hi there everybody, this is Bev, Clarkovision, and this is my metal tag. Is that how you do it? For 2021. Yep, this is the second one of these tags that I've done. Done the regular vinyl tag. This one is my metal tag, which I wanted to just do both of them for the sake of it. Thank you to the Rock Scout Scott for coming up with the questions for this. I will leave a list of the questions below just in case you want quick referral to them, and a link to Scott's channel and specifically his video for this, for the questions. This is kind of obviously geared for the metal community within the vinyl or music community. And so, you know, there's plenty of us out there who kind of like and appreciate all the different genres and styles of metal. So here is mine. I'm going to go through the 20 questions and show, I've pulled out stuff to show for most. I mean, you could go through some of them without actually showing anything, but I've kind of brought out stuff for the most, because that's kind of the point of these things, I guess. Well, for me it is anyway. I like pulling stuff out and showing it. So the only thing I would say is I did struggle on a couple. I'm just looking at the questions, I've got them here in the corner. Questions 17 and 18, I couldn't really think of an album. It was kind of hard, so I'm not going to answer them, but instead I'll just show a couple of extra things for other questions here and there. But I managed to get an answer out for pretty much everything else. So, first one, so question one, I'm not actually going to be showing anything for question one either. But anyway, I will answer the question. So the question for number one for this year's Metal Tag 2021 is, music spoiled by vocals. Well, that one was dead easy for me, and apologies to the fans of these genres, but death metal and probably black metal lyrics, for me, or not the lyrics, I beg your pardon, the vocals, for me, nah, I don't really regard them as vocals, because, you know, it just sounds like a noise to me. So, and some of the music I've heard behind these vocals sounds to me like something I could possibly like. Some of it's been quite interesting sounding here and there. So definitely I would say the vocals ruin it for me, because I just can't deal with it. So that's the answer to question one for me, sorry. Question two, an album you love that's let down by bad production. Again, I found it hard to come up with, but there was two that came to mind. I thought, well, I'll just show these. One of them, I've mentioned this before, On Through the Night. Absolutely adore this album. It is so good. It might even be my favourite Def Leppard album, to be honest with you, at this moment. It's hard for me to pick an actual favourite, but love this album to pieces. However, the production, it was overdone a little bit at the time, and I think it's a combination of naivety on the band's part, because this was their first time in a studio recording a full-length album with a producer, and the producer being Tom Allom. I've read in interviews in the past that Tom Allom was renowned for liking his glasses of wine and maybe had 2 or 3 too many when he was kind of in the studio, and things just got layered a little bit too much or whatever. I don't know the terms, the technical terms for production, for what you do in the production, but there was just a little bit too much overproduction, which kind of just lets the overall sound finish down a little bit, because it could have sounded even better, obviously, but the songs themselves, marvellous. When you hear them live, marvellous. So that's one. And this one I've flagged up as well, Pyromania. Well, I absolutely, again, I love the songs, love the album, but it's not bad production. I think the problem I have with this album is more so how it was recorded. And by that I specifically mean the drums, the bass, and probably some of the backing vocals. I don't have any, the guitars are fine, they're about the most normal sounding thing on here, but the drums, it was a drum machine that was used, and the bass was one of these Moog basses. It wasn't like a bass guitar on the actual album. And I think back in 1983, you know, it was the latest tech at the time that was being used to record it, and I think this album suffers from, sound-wise, being a bit dated because of the technology at the time. It's purely because of the drums and bass, and I think that's what lets it down. I prefer, again, listening to the Pyromania album, or the tracks of it, presented as a live thing rather than the album. So that's question 2, the production one. A band that suffers from a weak member. Yeah, I suppose you could possibly come up with a few, but for me, to be honest, it's not something I particularly pay too much attention to. If I like a band's music, I like a band's music. In general, I've got to know the band really well inside out to kind of become aware of who's the weakest members or etc. in such a situation maybe. But I figured since a lot of other people kind of feel this way about a certain band, I'm just going to pick them as well, and I've picked Metallica and the drummer. Apologies, but you know, I figured that might be the case, so going with that one. Question 4, show an album that to you defines heavy. So by that I took it to be possibly some of the heaviest sounding music in my personal collection. Obviously not necessarily the heaviest bands out there in the world, but for me, I've pulled out a couple of bands that I think to me are pretty heavy sounding albums. One is this one, the debut from Demons and Wizards. This is quite heavy going, this one. I found that I couldn't listen to it all in one go. I had to kind of take a break from it the first couple of times I was listening to it, to kind of get a bit used to what I was being, what was being served up here, if you like. So that's one of them, Demons and Wizards. And the other one, I've got a bunch of vinyls sitting here as well, which I thought was a bit on the heavy sounding side for me. I think it's this one. I've got 2 Iced Earths, and I think this is the slightly heavier out of the 2. This is The Glorious Burden. Again, this was pretty quite intense stuff for me, so taken a little bit of getting used to it. I've been slowly accustomizing to these bands, but these 2 albums I thought were possibly 2 of the heaviest that I own. So that's that question there. I'm just going to straighten up some of these records a little bit. So, question 5. Show an album recommended to you by the music community. Okay, so I think I pulled... Did I pull 2 here? Yeah, I pulled out 2. These were both initially recommended by the music community. And the first one is Cauldron's New Gods. This is the latest one they have. So I was introduced to this band via the music vinyl community. And as a result... direct result of the VC, I have it. And the other one is Saint Demon and Ghost. Again, recommended in the vinyl community. So That's 2, and I might add they're both excellent. Recommended indeed. Question 6. An album that takes your musical tastes in a different direction. This one here, this is Johann Bach's. This is English Suites numbers 1 to 3, and they have been arranged for 2 guitars by this Montenegrin guitar duo. And I can't pronounce their names. Goran Krvokapic and Daniel Chirovic, and that's probably completely nothing like how they're supposed to sound, so I do apologise. But I like a bit of classical guitar. I do like some classical music, but only some. It tends to be mostly classical guitar, the nylon strings, a bit of piano. Obviously I like the classical infused metal kind of stuff. But this is straight up classical for guitar. Some classical music is pretty amazing stuff, to be honest with you. So that's that. Am I putting this? Right, time for a drink. The throat's getting dry. Question 7. A gem from your collection. Well, yeah, besides showing obviously some autographed Steve Clark thing, I thought this is definitely one of my gems. 2019 release, Moonglow Avantasia. Absolute masterpiece. It is an absolute gem of a record. Just absolutely love this. From start to finish. Fantastic. If you do not have this, you're so missing out. But yeah, that's one of my prized possessions. I'm so glad to have it. The band, question 8. The band in your collection that formed closest to where you live. So quite recently, actually, I'm just going to move that as well. Hang on a second, because they keep falling down. I don't want them to fall down because of the weight. So I just fairly recently discovered him and only picked this up this last year. This is Rune Master. Cloudy Milder knew about these guys. I think that's where I picked up on them from. Also thanks to Vinyl Hazard as well. These guys, I believe, in fact I know because it's on the internet, they're from Edinburgh in Scotland, my hometown, so don't know exactly where in Edinburgh, but and the other one I'm going to cite is, and this is the only thing I have by Marillion or Fish, with Fish on it. Fish himself, Dick or something, I think is his real name. He was born, I believe, in Edinburgh and grew up in Dalkeith, which is basically the first town just down the road from here. So that would be the next closest. So yeah, Fish. 9. A metal album you reach for melody-wise. Well, to narrow this down to one was near impossible. Pretty much, that's what my main thing about music is melody, harmony. Music is going to be musical, and it's all going to just flow. So I could have picked anything. So I've grabbed a couple. I would reach for this, for example, Scorpions' Crazy World. I would, for example, reach for Europe, Out of This World. Apologies for the glare. I would also reach for, I pulled out about 5 to show for this question. This is making up for the 2 I Eclipse, Swedish band, and Monumentum. This is my favourite release from them. Unbelievably full of melody, harmony, hooks, sing-along choruses, big guitars, definitely. Then another one would be this one, Bonfire, another fabulous band and album, and another one would be Bloodbound. And I specifically shown this album because Rise of the Dragon Empire, I think this was their latest, 2019. This has one of these amazing guitar solos, one of the best I've heard on a new record, if you like, that I've heard in a long time. It's one of these solos that just makes the hair stand up on your arms and in the back of your neck. It just gives you that amazing tingly kind of feeling. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, there we have it. And that's only just a handful. Pretty much everything I say regarding, you know, anything Steve Clark melody, it was his thing. Number 10, the album in your collection you would sell first. This is the second vinyl tag of the year that this has appeared in Enforcer's Zenith. I think it's just not happening for me, so I'd probably go with that one. Which subgenre of metal would you delete from existence? There's two I've put down here, one being new metal, all that drivel where you got bands like Slipknot and I don't know, did Disturbed come out of that thing? Oh God, all these weird, I can't even remember half their names. They had stupid names as well as stupid sounding music. Yeah, just depressing and miserable. Don't know what they were trying to do with that kind of style, but no, new metal, no. And the other one would be, and again, apologies, death metal. Just don't see the point in that. So, those two for me. Moving on. The band or artist you'd most like to see an album or reissue from in 2021. Okay. What have I got written down here? Let me see. This is my answer sheet. So, as far as new albums go, I would like to see, and I pulled this record out as well just to show the previous album. I'll be quite interested. I don't know if they're scheduled to bring one out this coming year, but Ghost would be an interesting one for me, because I'd be curious to know if it was going to be more in the vein of this kind of style versus their sort of heavier, darker, earlier albums, because for me, I absolutely love this. This is amazing. Really good stuff. So that would be one, Ghost, and Running Wild would be another. I believe there's a new album in the works for 2021, so hopefully that might come out later this year, but also Running Wild because, and I don't have a VHS video to record, but it was Steve at Headbanging Zulu who happened to mention a live visual, like a video or a DVD. I would love to see this. This is the VHS. Apologies for the glare, courtesy of a Discogs phone. This was a VHS of Running Wild's live on the Death or Glory tour in 1989. I would love to see this reissued on Blu-ray or DVD. That would be amazing. There is footage of it on YouTube, which is where I've seen it from before. Would adore that. And the other one I had put down, the debut album from Mob Rules. As far as reissues go, I would love this to be reissued on vinyl. Absolutely amazing album. I would adore that. And the other one I would love on vinyl, it's an OG Grail, but if they did a reissue of Pretty Maid's Sin Decade, I think that's where you see the album title here, Sin Decade. I would appreciate a reissue of that as well. So that's that. Next up, which 80s metal act would you love to see a comeback album from? Well, this one took a bit of time to think about as well, I must admit, and I have picked two I thought would be really interesting. The first one being this band here. They're Swedish, and they're called Parasite. And this is the only official release they ever released, which is an EP actually, but this is a reissue on No Remorse. It was originally released in 1985, and they only ever got that far, and it was reissued in 2018 on No Remorse. So I'd love it if this band came back and did an album. That would be so cool, just to see what they would come up with. And the other band I thought would be fun for me would be this band, Skagerrak, Danish. You could call them pop metal. They're kind of a bit on that kind of side of things, like sort of, you would possibly class something along with Europe, Dokken, Rat, these kind of style in a way, but obviously of a European flavour. Maybe bands like Treat as well. But this is A Slice of Heaven. This was their 1990 album, and they had one more that came out after this in 93, and that was their last album to date, according to Discogs. I think they've released the odd single or EP over the course of time, but yeah, I'd love them maybe just throw something out again to see what it would be like. So yeah. So an alternative variation, am I getting this right here, of an album cover. Okay, so I can do that. I have it sitting here. Yeah, no, things are falling over again. Let me just get this right. I don't know what I've hit there, but again, the original cover I got from Discogs, because I have the alternative cover. So that's the original, and it's let me just get that, Virgin Steel, Age of Consent. I think it was originally released in 88, this one. So that's what the original album cover looks like. However, it was reissued in 2016 or something like that, on SPV Steamhammer, 2011 actually, this release I believe, and it has a new cover, and that is the, I guess you could say, the alternative cover, Age of Consent. So that is that. Where are we? A band that for you defines metal. Okay, a lot of people have picked this name out, I think, from what I've seen. They're kind of obvious to me. If I was to say to somebody who really didn't understand heavy metal, I would say go and check out Judas Priest. That is your typical heavy metal band, and I would say them. And the other one I would say, simply for me, because I grew up in the 80s, I'm going with Iron Maiden. They emerged through the 80s and became what they are. And again, particularly the 80s stuff is just, the definition of metal to me. So that's that. And show your most metallic album cover. So I found one. It's actually an EP, but this is the most metallic I could find. And here it is. Excuse the OBI strip, or the OB strip. And it's by the band Rail. And I think it's just, is this just self-titled? Yes, it is. It's just titled Rail. And you can see, I think it's meant to spell out rail there anyway. And this is all kind of bits of metal. I don't know if it's part of what's meant to be a machine or lettering or what, but it's all very metallic to me. And there's the band. Early 80s, this is 1984. So there we go. And I think I've got one more that's going to be shown as far as that goes. So question 17 was an album you disliked at first and now highly regard. And question 18 was the reverse, an album you liked at first but now disregard. I really struggled with these, to be honest with you. And I couldn't really think of anything concrete. The closest I could come would be, as an example, and it would be number 18, I used to quite like Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue. I thought a couple of the tracks off of that were okay, but I wouldn't be fussed for it now. But I don't think I ever heard that album in full anyway. So that would be the closest thing I could think of. But to be honest, I really couldn't think, so these two, unfortunately, 17 and 18, I couldn't really give an answer. So, question 19, a metal band that deserves more recognition. Well, in my opinion, I'm going to go with this band. Don't see nearly enough of these guys shown in the VC, and they're phenomenal. Just amazing, powerful, traditional metal. They're kind of a mix of the kind of traditional and power metal mixed. They're not, I wouldn't say out and out full on power metal, but they are a bit power metal-y. But again, they're more just kind of traditional, modern heavy metal. That's how I would probably describe Hammerfall. Just uplifting, solid, powerful, and just great sounding band, great sounding songs. Singers amazing, and they are a delight. So yeah, Hammerfall, especially the first two albums, this one and Legacy of Kings, absolutely stunning. In fact, I'd love to get a copy of Legacy of Kings on vinyl. I have a CD version, but not the vinyl, so be on the hunt for that at some point. But yeah, totally deserve more. Check them out. And the last question, your number one grail going into 2021 would be, as original pressings, obviously we're talking about here, so it'd be Syndicate by Pretty Maids, that's 1992. Death or Glory by Running Wild, an original from 89. Or A Twist in the Myth by Blind Guardian, original, I think, was that 2006, something like that maybe. I think that one was released, but I can see me probably ending up with a reissue when they finally reissue that, and hopefully they will, rather than getting an original because it costs far too much. But so that concludes my metal tag. Again, apologies regarding the death metal and the black metal stuff. I know there's guys out there who love that stuff, and I totally respect that. It's your thing. I get it as far as that goes. So don't take it personally, whatever you do. It's just not my thing. And I doubt Def Leppard is your thing either, obviously, for some of you guys out there, which I completely understand as well. So yeah, it's all good, and it's just a bit of fun, and I'll see you in another video. I have my 2020 review to come. I've got a contest entry or two maybe to come, and maybe an update or something coming fairly soon. I don't know, we'll see. But in the meantime, bye just now, and thanks for watching. Cheers.